Hello friends, and welcome back to Planty Mandy. Today I am going to do a bunch of much needed maintenance on my terrarium and kind of give you a little bit of a tour of the plants in there. So welcome to my bedroom, which is something I never thought I would say on the internet. Okay, so this terrarium, I've only had it set up as a terrarium for about 6 or 8 months now. I did purchase it years ago, 6 or 7 years ago, and used it as an aquarium for about 5 years. I will include a photo of when it was an aquarium up there. So this setup is called a fluval flex. This is the 15 gallon, which is about 15 inches cubed, I believe. They also sell a 9 gallon and a 32 gallon. So they come with an aquarium filter and the light on the top. And the filter pump quit working a year or two ago, and I just didn't want to replace it, so I stopped using it as an aquarium. But the light is still working really great. And what's fun about this is it does come with a remote, so you can adjust the brightness of it. Let's see. Yeah, you can tell that it's dimming. I'm going to put it back up again. And then if you want to, you can just play around with the colors here. If I can make it work. So this is the blue settings. You can go all sorts of different colors on there. Green, red, and like any combination of all those colors. You can put it on night mode, which is kind of cool. But generally I just leave it on the full white at full strength, and it does great. So this one I bought new 6 or 7 years ago, but you can easily find them used on Marketplace or Kijiji or wherever. And especially if you're using it as a terrarium and not an aquarium, if the filter doesn't work and if it's not quite watertight, it's fine. So you can probably find them a lot cheaper. And I've really enjoyed it. It is really overgrown, so I am going to attempt to hook on this grow light on the side of it and aim the camera down into it so you can watch me work. Because when you open the lid, the light shines straight out, so you're not going to be able to see much. So I'm going to attempt to do that, and I will be right back. All right, I hope that lighting is okay. Sorry that you can't see me now, but you're going to see my hands. First things first, these pinguiculas, I definitely want to take them out because they're just crowding everything in, and I think they do fine with my other ones out in the main house. This one has flowered for me. It had some little white flowers. Only lasted about 3 days though, so I don't know if that's normal. You can see snails on them. There's snails everywhere. Can you see them? So I'm going to start by taking these guys out. The smaller one is not really thriving. It keeps kind of falling out of the pots, so I'm going to have to do something with that. And I just had them on this little soap dish, suction cup shelf. I actually put these in here because when I put the sensitive plant down in the bottom, it came with fungus gnats. So I wanted to put some carnivorous plants up in the air where they wouldn't catch any of the isopods and the springtails back down in the bottom, and those shells worked really well. So I haven't seen any fungus gnats in here in a while. I might leave the Drosera in here because it seems to be the most effective at catching fungus gnats, and it's doing so well, so I'm just going to leave it. This Pteris fern started out super tiny and it is just overgrowing like crazy. So I am just going to completely uproot it and take it out. If I can without disturbing the whole place. It is very well rooted in there. Come on. So I'm just going to have to rip some of its roots as I pull it out. I don't do ferns really in my main house, but I can't just throw a plant out, so I'm going to throw it into a pond maybe and see if I can keep it alive. So there's that. I'm throwing it in a bin because I know that there are snails in here and I do not want that elsewhere in the house. This one is a silver lace fern and it seems to be staying small, so I think I'll leave it for now unless it starts taking over now that I took the other bigger fern out. And I have little random toys everywhere. Little dragon. I'll just take him out for now. So this is the sensitive plant I was talking about. I will insert a photo of when it flowers because it is absolutely adorable when it flowers and I love it. So obviously it's already all tucked in because I've been moving stuff around. Little dragon. I do love dragons, you will see that. So right here is a Hoya mini pixie. Just planted into some moss on top of this corkboard. I believe this is mini pixie as well. Down in here I have some Peperomia Beetle. And then this is the one I can never remember the name of, Peperomia Verticillata. And it has definitely just started climbing on its own everywhere. So that's nice. I have some random moss down in here. I don't know what they all are. Little dragon. Some random cushion moss down in here. A little Fittonia. And then this one is a Jewel Orchid. I'll put the species on the screen. It hasn't flowered for me yet, but it is growing very well. Another little Fittonia in here. So I'm just going to move this Drosera for now. They are so cool. I love the sap that's on them. It gets so sticky and wonderful. So I might pull its shelf out too for now, and then I can figure out where I want it afterwards. So this is begonia hugh mclaughlin, and it is a rhizomus begonia. I have never tried to grow it outside of the terrarium, but definitely needs to be cut down. So I'm thinking I'm going to try to propagate some of these leaves, and maybe I will try and grow it in ambient and see how it does. Just love the backs of them too. When they get the light through them, they're just shimmery and beautiful. But I'm just going to get this kind of shortened down a little bit. So are you guys feeling the fall slump yet? Feels like all of a sudden this week, everybody's just super lethargic and we're just slogging through this week. Even the dogs are like really moping around. And it's like if the animals feel it, then people feel it too, and it's okay. But we're struggling a little bit. Plus I like pulled something in my lower back, so I have been not doing a lot in the last few days, but I really wanted to get this cleaned up and maybe that'll give me a lift And as always, it's just nice to get your hands into some plants and do some work on them. Sorry, I bumped the tripod there. So for orchids, I do have this one, Dendrobium something. I will put it on the screen. I believe it's supposed to get yellow flowers, I think. And then there's another little dendrobium here that I don't know the species of, but I got it for free at the orchid show. So that'll be a surprise if and when it flowers. And then this one I got from Equigenera already mounted. It's a Leptotes something. And this stuff is the Wandering Fig, Variegated Ficus something. And some of this is not even truly rooted down into the substrate, because when I was redoing the cork in the back, it ripped off and it just rooted into the cork and kept growing. So it's super resilient. Let's see what else we can do in here. I feel like there's like too much of an empty space here. But I'm sure it will fill back in. Over here, there's another little Fittonia. Some snail damage, that's okay. I don't really mind the snails in here because they're not like big, beautiful leafy plants. They're just kind of growing wild, and I kind of like that. There's also some string of turtles, Peperomia Prostrata. Well, that's not even rooted into anything. Let's put that down in there. That will root itself. Okay. Now you can see the Jewel Orchid a little bit better in there. So I did kind of lay it down on the bottom, and it's sprouted out of a few different spots, so that's nice. I don't know if you can see it way down in here. There's some more Fittonia. I love that red. Fittonia is another one that really only does well in terrariums long term. This is more of the Jewel Orchid. I think that's about it. Oh, up in here I do have some variegated Dischidia, and that's just rooted into moss on top of this corkboard. Maybe I will trim some of this ficus down. Pop, pop. So it'll root on anything, obviously. It rooted directly onto the back wall. And down in here, you can also see some more Hoya mini pixie. That's actually the one Hoya that has flowered for me out in ambient conditions, and I just cut it and moved it down in here, so hopefully that'll start flowering too. So I am going to spread out some plants more into that bare spot, I think. So there's the little bit of the Jewel Orchid. Just going to plant it right down into the bottom. Kind of like that. And maybe a little bit of this Fittonia down in there. Luckily, in a terrarium setting, everything roots super easily because of the humidity in here. As far as humidity, I don't have a fan in here. I just open up the lid for an hour or so every couple of days and kind of let the air exchange happen. And speaking of ice pods, I haven't seen any lately. So I did have dairy cows and the powder blues, and I might have forgotten to feed them, so I might need to get some more. So to finish up, I'm just gonna give the glass a little wipe down. And this is how I water it. Like, I don't need to, you can't even see what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing with this thing. I never water the substrate down below because it just stays wet. And especially with doing this, which you still can't see. Fantastic. I just spray the moss that's up top and the orchids and any moss that's on these branches so that everything can continue rooting up onto stuff. Sorry, snails. Oh, almost. Oh, spider. So that is that. There's not a whole lot of rare special plants in there, but I just love the way that it's growing wild, and it's just a nice, beautiful way to have plants next to my bed, especially with the window in here being north facing. I don't have a lot of plants in the bedroom, so it's a nice way to have plants with a grow light in here. So that's that for today. I'm going to insert some B-roll here of some more close-up shots of the plants in there. Until next week, peace, love, and plants.
I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I've changed for the better this time. I thought I would never be fine. I strive just to say I'm alright, and for the first time in a long time I'm alright. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I'm not falling, I'll push all my chips and call all in. I'll bet on myself, you keep stalling. I hear destiny and it's calling. I'll keep my head up high through the downs and lows, and we're all going live. Still nobody knows, but I'ma choose what's right and take what comes and goes. And ain't no one in life holding me back no more. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. Back a year ago,